My name is Christian and welcome to my hobby blog. Today we are doing a tier list of every Cosmere story, novel, short story, essay, so on and so forth. Everything. So as you can see on the screen now, every book and essay is listed. From, it's not really in order of, it's kind of in order. This should be way over here. Before, this should be, we'll stick it here. We're gonna go chronologically, I guess. Fuck it. Although 11th metal is over here. And this is gonna be controversial, but I'm gonna put this after Hero of Ages, because I think it should be read then. Air chances between book 2 and 3. I'm sorry, I should have done this earlier, but oh well, this will be fun. We'll just stick that here. Although it's not published right after it is. This is kind of my reading order, I guess, technically, when it comes to the Cosmere. I'm going to put these first, because that's going to be really easy to rate. Oh my gosh, everything's falling apart. There you go. Earthbringer. Well, now all these you can read whenever. Okay, are you guys ready? Because I am. I'm super excited. So, NA in this tier list means not applicable. I haven't read it. So, that's why I put these first. I haven't read any Right Sand. I'm waiting for that big omnibus that Isaac Stewart is working on. So, hopefully, when that comes out, I'll have an opinion on it. Because right now I don't. So, Elantris, book 1 that he published. I like it. I think it's good. The characters are fun to read. There's really cool magic, although not much magic, but there's just enough to keep you going. There's only one Cosmere crossover, aside from Hoyd, because he's in everything. And the ending is really what holds it down for me, in my opinion. This will be on overall enjoyment. So Elantris, I think the ending just happened way too fast. I think it should have been. I think it could have been paced a little better, but it was his 6th novel. No, 7th. And then he did 6 other books after that. And then it got published. So, I'm not holding too much against him. Everyone says this is the worst Brandon Sanderson, but it's not. There are worse books, in my opinion, in the Cosmere. Because this one I'm just kind of lukewarm. I'm like, okay, it was good. I enjoyed it. But I'm more excited for the sequels, which I guess will be done after Stormlight 5. I'm very curious because he says it has to come out before Era 2 of Stormlight Archive. And I don't know why. So I'm really interested to see what he says about that. I'm going to put that in the B tier. It's better than average or bad. Can we add? So, what I didn't think there were enough things, so we're going to do F. So, because there's one book that I'm going to put in the F tier, so I hope you guys are ready for that. So, The Hope of Elantris is pretty good. It's a short story. That's like 30 pages, takes place during the end of Elantris. So, it's fine. I'm gonna put that in C, average. C is gonna be average, F will be like worse than average. 11th Metal? I think that's the prequel short story on Calcio before Error or Mistborn Error 1. I don't think I've read it. Yeah, I don't think I've read it. So we're just gonna put that away. So Mistborn or the Final Empire in America. It's good. It's more of a read it once and maybe read it for a second time after finishing book 3, but there's not enough Cosmere stuff in the book to justify rewatching or rereading it, because I did a full Cosmere read through last summer and leading up to Rhythm of War, and this was the roughest one to go through. It was also the first Brandon Sanderson book I ever read, so there's that nostalgia aspect. I'm going to put it above Hope of Elantris. It's average to me. So next up is Realm of Ascension, Book 2 of Era 1 of Mistborn. It is not good. Oh, I've read it. I'm putting it in the F tier. Whatever. I recently recorded a podcast episode with the Road Hoppers podcast, Alphonsina, Cheyenne, and Alana. And we dive deep into it, so if you want my full thoughts, I'll let you guys know when that episode comes out, because it'll be a month or two. I don't know exactly when, but I'll let you know. And the big issue I have is that only the ending and a few characters are amazing. Everything else is just bad. I don't like Zane. I don't like Straff. I think those two characters weigh down the book way too much. I don't think there should have been a siege. I don't think there should have been as many antagonists. It's a rough book. Next one, Hero of Ages. F tier. No, I'm kidding. It's going to be our first S tier. The ending to this book is probably the best ending I've ever read of a book. Maybe aside from Oathbringer, but Hero of Ages is amazing all throughout. It is obviously... Brandon Sanderson wrote all 3 of the Mistborn books, this, and this, all in one go. When he finished draft 1 of Final Empire, he wrote draft 1 of this. After finishing that, he wrote draft 2, draft 1, 3, I guess. However, but this one, I love. It's one of my favorites. Secret History. I'm not gonna talk really anything about it. I like it a lot. I think it should be read after Hero of Ages, though, because after Bands of Mourning is too long, the ending is not going to make sense, and sometimes the author says things that don't make sense, and that's okay, because Mistborn Secret History wraps up a lot of Hero of Ages that doesn't really get resolved, and you don't know that it doesn't get resolved, because everything that's happening is a secret. So, the next one, Alloy of Lie. I love this a lot. It is obvious that it was supposed to be a standalone, because it ends very well, and It was really fun seeing the evolution of this world. I am putting it above Secret History. I love Alloy Law. And so, I don't know. It was just fun seeing the evolution of Scadrial and all the Cosmere connections. Even though I missed a lot because it was the first. I've only read it once, and that was last year. So the next one is Alamancer Jack. Did not read it. I do not care for the short stories in this world, and that's bad because I should read it. But when you got all these books here, it's really hard to take a moment to read Alamancer Jack. Who cares? In my opinion. So I haven't read it. I probably will never read it. The next one is Shadows of Self. I am putting that, I think, F tier. It's not as bad as Well of Ascension. Actually, yeah, so it would be right here. A little better than Well of Ascension. It was rough. This was the one where I thought it should have just been Alloy of Law. But I know Brandon plans out everything. So my opinion may change if I read it again in anticipation for Lost Metal. But I don't remember anything from it. And this is... I don't really like it, honestly. The characters are great. That's the only saving grace, but... I don't know. It felt like a copy of Alloy of Law, except it's part 1 of 3 in this trilogy that he's planning. Okay, Bands of Mourning. This one I like a little better than Elantris. I love the world building. The world really expanded and really, I guess, gave depth to this era of history, to Mistborn, Scadrial, but I think the ending really lacked for me in terms of the reveal. I loved the last 100 pages except like that final line that reveals something. It went totally over my head, and everyone was like, go read Secret History, it'll make sense, and it still didn't make sense. So I knew what happened, but I was like, I don't know how that happened. I wish I read Secret History after Era 1. So that's why I'm telling everyone now to read it after Era 1. There's no other way to read it, in my opinion. So, also all the new characters in this one's much better, and so are the villains. I did not care for the villain of Alloy of Law and Shadows of Self. Warbreaker. I think it's average, maybe a little better. I'm going to put it out above Elantris. So I really like the characters. I love Basher. I love Nightblood. I had a theory about Nightblood after I read this for the second time before Rhythm of War that ended up becoming true in Rhythm of War, which I can discuss one day. But I really like this book. I don't like Vivena the first half, although I don't blame her for being the way she is, because she doesn't have access to the information that everyone else has. So, and now we're going into the heavy hitters, the Stormlight Archives, all the way up to here. Ray of Kings. This book was C tier for me. My first read. It's 600 pages until anything makes sense. On the second read, I think it's one of the best. I really enjoyed it. I'm debating where I should put this. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. It's not better than Year of Ages. It's not S tier. I can't wait to read it after book 5. My opinion may change after that, but I've read this twice, so I feel pretty confident keeping it where it's at. Words of Radiance. Loved it the first time I read it. Loved it even more the second time I read it. But I think the issue is that everyone stayed in one location the whole book, aside from Shallan. Shallan shows up to the Shattered Plains, but everyone else stays in the exact same geographic location. And that's why a future book in the series is much better, because everyone finally starts traveling and exploring the world. So Words of Radiance is amazing. All the character plot lines are great. The interactions are great. Shallan is Shallan. She's okay. Everything that happens around her is more interesting than her, in my opinion. This is her flashback book, and Rhythm of War kind of retcons her flashbacks in this book, which I don't like, because book 1 is Kaladin's book, flashback book, and I feel like there's nothing else to know about his flashbacks. That was the impression I got with Words of Radiance, but then Rhythm of War happened. And it's like, oh wait, how much do we know is true of flashback scenes now? So, yeah, getting off topic, but yeah, I really like it. Edge Dancer, I don't like. I don't care for Lift. I think she sucks. I think I'll enjoy her a little more in books 6 through 10 of Stormlight. But we just got book 4 a couple months ago, so it's going to be a while before I think this will climb up my rating. Oathbringer, not there. I accidentally let go. It's either here or here. Oathbringer's a little long. It's the only negative, because Here of Ages is very, like, 700 pages. This is like 1100, 1200. So I'm going to knock it down to right there. I can't spoil it, but I love the ending. All of our characters have a role. It's very much an Infinity War Avengers ending, and I love it. So, Dawnshard. It's good. I think this was released too early, though, because we don't know anything about Dawnshards. We get introduced to them in this book, but barely any information. So, I'm a little more ticked off about this than anything else, just because it's such a tease that Brandon would do that. I'm going to put it above Mistborn. It's really short. You can finish it in an afternoon easily. But, yeah, it's down there. Rhythm of War. The more that I think about it, the less impressed I was with the book. I don't know if that's good or bad. But there were a lot of things that I didn't like about it. Kaladin's storyline is not as good, except for the end, of course. Nynaeve is the highlight. I love her chapters. Dalinar takes a total backseat, although Oathbringer was his book, so it's okay. Seth does nothing. I don't even want to say a character's name, but one character is the highlight for me. The way the character's end happens is very satisfying. So there's very high highs and then averages. So I'll putting it above Bands of Mourning. So at least I knew kind of what was going on. I really like the Pashendi stuff. I don't like the flashback chapters, so that's the main weakness. So the flashback chapter is supposed to be good. The interludes were really whatever. I don't like how they pertain to the main story. I like the weird interludes in the previous books, where it's in like the middle of a random place and we don't know what's going on. And we don't know who these characters are. There's like weird stuff going on, but in this book it's like the interludes are happening around the characters we see, and it's like, okay, it would have been nice to take a break from our characters in the interludes in this book. I like the Shah and Not and the Spren point of views, but that's it. And that's just like one set of them. So that's what Rhythm of War is. I gotta reread it, but this is the longest book. It's like 40-50 pages longer than Oathbringer. And this book definitely felt bloated as I read through it recently when it came out. So, I don't know. I think he got held behind by the fact that he loves the magic system and the science behind it, so he really drew out all the explanations. It very much felt like a real-time book, but it's really hard to talk about without spoilers, so we're going to move on. Emperor's Soul. I love this. I haven't read it since I first read it, but the magic is really interesting. Technically, it takes place in the same planet as Elantris, but there's not much info on it. I know it's a few hundred years after, I believe, maybe? I don't know. Hoyd is running around in it. But I really like this. It's very well written. It's his best written, in my opinion. So, I'm deciding between this or S tier. We'll put it S tier. Fuck it. Six of the Dusk. The closest thing we have to a horror novel by Brandon Sanderson, and I loved it. But there's not much to hold on to. This could easily take place not in the Cosmere. There's no Cosmere crossovers, which I love. I like seeing Hoyd. Hoyd isn't in here. And this isn't what it's going to be, but I just got stuck in the middle. But I enjoyed it. It's in Arcanum Unbounded. So. Wait, no, this is not Six of the... That's not what... Shadows of Silence is what I was talking about. Okay, I haven't read this. Okay. Yes, Shadows of Silence is what I thought. That they look similar. So, but I really like Shadows for Silence and the Force of Hell. It's really interesting. I love ghosts. So, I wish we got more from this planet. Because I believe it's where Aether of Night is eventually going to take place. Those novels. But I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I'll put it below Elantris. Arcanum Unbounded. I have an issue having this on here. Because Edge Dancer is in it. Dawnshard, Hope. Shadows. Secret History. Emperor's Soul. Six of the Dust. All these. Except that one, of course. Dawnshard is not in it, though. So I think overall, I like it a lot. As someone who did not know much about the Cosmere when I first read this, it is very helpful. So, I enjoyed it. I'm going to put it in the average. Better than Dawnshard. And I think that's it, yeah. So, that's my tier list. I think Hero of Ages is his best work in terms of enjoyment. Everything gets wrapped up really well. It's a really fun time. So, let me know what you guys think of this, whether I'm right or wrong about this, because I love the Cosmere. I've read most of it. I haven't read these. These two I don't think I'll ever read. Six of the Dusk, one day I'll read it, but we're not getting a sequel to that in 30 years, our time, so I'm not rushing to read it. Then White Sand, I'm gonna read it when Isaac Stewart finishes the omnibus that has all three of them together. So, yeah, hope you liked it. Thank you for watching.